There's no place like the Q. Family, welcome back to the show. You know, this is your favorite queer radio personality, Anna DeShawn here, and this is a special queer news interview. I am excited to have Juju Bae joining us today on the show. What's going on, Juju?
Mama, I made it. I feel like I made it. I'm on queer news.
Hey, I made it. Okay, Juju on the show. This show has made it. Now, family, if you don't know Juju, I'm just going to say a little bit, okay, because I could quite literally be here all day talking about who she is in the world and how she shows up. And we're going to talk about a little bit, but let me just give you a brief situation so you understand, okay? She is an accomplished host, educator, historian, author, Osun Priest, okay? And we're going to talk a lot about that. But I also want to say she is an amazing podcaster, okay? A spiritual advisor. She out here doing readings, okay? Helping people be grounded and all the things. And she a community friend, period. And I met Juju through a friend who I trust when she says, you should know this person, okay? And she was not wrong. So, Juju, I'm so glad we finally made it here.
Me too. Thank you so much. I'm so happy to be here.
For sure. I'm excited. Now, we do host this show on E3 Radio, our online radio station playing queer music all day long. And so we got to ask you a couple music questions before we get started.
Okay, I'm ready.
I'm ready. Okay, so what's your go-to karaoke song?
Ooh, I have a few, but it ranges from, some Aaliyah to some Fleetwood Mac, Dreams to Anita Baker. It really just depends on the mood.
Oh, yeah, you went a lot of places, okay? And Auntie Anita been on one, okay? So
we love her. No Anita slander will be tolerated.
I got no Auntie Anita slander. Okay, she just out here. Okay.
Yes.
All right. And now, what song is in high rotation right now? What should people be listening to that you listening to?
Okay, I'm listening to this song called "Call You" by this artist named Nanette, and I think she's a South African artist. So I think it's like the piano genre. I think I'm saying that correctly. That song, it's like a club beat. It feels like house, but it's like the South African house. So "Call You" by Nanette.
That's the one?
That's the one.
Okay. I'm from Chicago. You already know I'm here for all the house music. So
there we go. Mm-hmm.
Okay, we're going to be checking that out. So I'm so excited for our listeners to hear about you and your work so that they can begin to tap in to what you're doing. I do my best to do my research, okay? Because I like to be a good interviewer, right? And value everybody's time. And I didn't have to go far, okay? This, on your website, you have this beautiful saying, and I'd like us to start here. It says, you are made in the likeness of your ancestors.
Yep.
As we move through life, it is important to remember the wisdom of those before us. Life changes day to day, but the stillness of spirit and the call of your ancestors are ever constant. It is never too late to go back and fetch what may otherwise be lost. Answer the call home. I thought when I read that, it was beautiful, and it resonated with me a lot as someone who sits in their spiritual corner when I'm at my best every morning with pictures of my family and pictures of me and pictures of my grandparents, to remember that I am here because they were here.
Yeah.
So I would love to hear from you around what that means to you.
Yeah. I mean, I am an ancestral healer, which to me means that I value, just like you said, who I come from, where I come from, and how I got here. I don't even feel comfortable enough walking throughout the world without acknowledging the places and the experiences that my ancestors have had in order for me to live this really fascinating and amazing life that I do today. And so being an ancestor healer and acknowledging where you come from is just simply acknowledging, like, you know what? I know that there were sacrifices before me. I know that there were experiences that I couldn't even imagine to go through. And that there's also wisdom and knowledge that literally is in my bones and in my blood and in my bloodline. simply because I descend from people who made it happen and who made it work. And we know that because we exist. So I'm always wanting to and tapping into the information that our elders have for us, that family members have for us. And this family doesn't always have to be blood family. These are just people around us that we call ours and who call us theirs. And so I believe in that, I believe in community. And so I think that especially as folks of color, especially as Black people, that it's important that we acknowledge like all of the stuff that we are bringing with us, because we're never alone. We always have our ancestors with us.
Always. I can
Mm-hmm.
feel their spirit with me always.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm in the midst of producing a new pod called Second Sunday. We finished
Mm-hmm.
season 1. We're going into season 2.
Nice.
And just taking it all in. And one thing that one of our co-hosts says in one of the episodes is that when we begin to accept how unusual, right, the acts of the Bible are, then maybe we can begin to accept how unusual, right, this religion is, and maybe we will stop outcasting those who we consider to be on the margins,
right,
and welcome them in.
yeah,
And so when I begin to speak out loud around my spiritual beliefs, I'm like, y'all believe in all that, but y'all can't believe in this. I don't understand.
right,
I don't understand where the disconnect is.
right.
But Juju, how did you get to this place? Like, we wake up, you a shorty as a kid, I want to be I don't know, doctor, nurse, firefighter. I wake up one morning and be like, yo, you know what? I want to be an ancestral healer and a witch. And I want to help people heal. Juju, how did you get
here? I never thought I would be here. Every day I wake up and I'll be like, is this my life? Like, for real? How? But truly, it's because I'm walking in my path and my destiny and my calling that this happens and that I arrived here. So, I mean, I've always been a child who was interested in healing, although I may not have always had the language for it. But I always tell the story about I had a best friend in elementary school when we were on the bus and she had a stomach ache. And she was like, my stomach hurts so bad. And I was like, well, let me put my hands on your stomach and it'll go away. She was like, okay. So I remember laying hands on her and I said a prayer and she was like, oh my God, it's gone. I was like, yeah, I know. And she was like, oh yeah. And then we got off the bus, started playing. And I always think about that because I think that was just one of the earliest moments that I was just doing things that I didn't know why I was doing them. I didn't know that my hands were healing. I just knew that that's just what I could do and that's what you should do. And I was helping my friends so we could go play so our stomach stopped hurting. And so I think I've always carried that thread throughout my life. And I can think of different stories at different periods of my life where I was healing in some way. And I was actually in school to be a doctor of clinical psychology. And I dropped out of school in my doctoral program because while I was there, I actually had a dream about my ancestors. And this wasn't something that I was into at the time. I had a very vivid dream about my ancestors, and I saw an experience of one of my foremothers who was actually enslaved. So I saw her on the plantation. I saw a day in her life. I saw some horrible traumas. That dream shook me so much. I woke up and was like, I don't think I'm doing the right thing. Like, I don't know what this is, but I feel like my ancestors are calling me to do something else. And long story short, I went to tell my professor later that day, who was the only Black professor that I had. She was like, your ancestors are calling you. You need to figure out what you're going to do with that because you're in school to try to heal all these people around and you haven't looked to your own self and to your own bloodline for the healing that y'all need. And I was like, oof. And I dropped out of school.
Wow. Whoa.
And said, ancestors, I don't know what y'all are doing. I don't know who you are fully. But I'm trusting this moment to show me what I have to do. And then I've arrived here. Like, of course, there's been ups and downs and changes, but that is how it happened. I literally just trusted and followed my spirit in that moment.
Now, that's wild, right? And it's not because of the dream. That's not the wild part. The wild part is that you listened. Right? Like,
that is the wild part because it doesn't make sense why I would do that. Why would I just do that off a dream? Like, and it's not like my ancestors in the dream was like, you need to leave school, but it was we got some stuff to work through, babe. And we see you trying to do this work, but you're not going to get there without this, like this going backwards. And I was like, okay, the healing is backwards. So I was like, okay, I got some work to do.
Shoo. Now, how far back have you gone? Right? As for me, Black American, I know about as far back as like my great, but I've never done like a blood thing or ancestry. I've never done that. So for you, how far back have you gone with your own ancestry?
So what's funny is I was trying to shorten the story, but a big part of the story was actually when I told my professor about this dream. She took me to the library at my graduate program. She introduced me to this woman. Her name was Carrie. And Miss Carrie. And Miss Carrie was a genealogist. So she was like, I want to help you find this woman. I want you to know who she is. And I'm like, well, I've never done my ancestry. She's like, I'll do it for you for free. So every like Tuesday or so, I would go to Miss Carrie's office. She's like, I found your great great grandfather. He's from da da da. I found it. Da, da, da. Like she built my tree. I still reference this tree that was built for me for free from this genealogist at the school that I dropped out of, who I actually recently connected with. So I could tell her, thank you. So shout out to Miss Carrie. But yeah, so I've gotten pretty far because it was done for me for free. However, I've gotten even farther beyond the ancestry stuff from the spiritual route. So there's different spiritual ways that you can actually figure out, where you may come from, names of descendants and stuff like that. And because I am so tapped into my ancestors, they often come to me in dreams and be like, my name is this. I'm from this place. I did this thing. I understand that's not everyone's experience, but that is mine because I do this. I've gone pretty far because they be telling me. I'm a dreamer, as you can see.
Yeah. You are a dreamer. Yeah. And something else that comes up a lot in the Second Sunday podcast from theologians that we've interviewed is how their calls have come to them in dreams. And this whole idea of dreams. And I think there's people who study dreams. There's a lot of people who feel dreams. And there's some dreams we remember. It feels like a deja vu. And you're like, where did this happen? Right. It feels out of body. It feels like out of this physical situation. And for me, it feels like at some point you have to accept that there is something more than what is on the surface here. Yeah.
I mean, and the thing is, you don't have to, but you'll get a lot of clarity if you do. Like things will make more sense when you realize, like, oh, there's just some whole other access worlds, experiences, realms that I can't see with my eyes, but I can see. If we really pay attention to that, especially us as Black people, we can see. Now, the things around us will tell us that we can't, will tell us that, science can't prove it, or we have these tangible ways that we have to prove things. That's what's been told to us. We need facts. But essentially, some of the oldest ancestral wisdom is the fact that we know from our spirit. Spirit is fact. My intuition is a form of information gathering. It always has been. And so I think if we're honest about, there's so many ways to garner information that aren't just in numbers, that aren't just in what we see with this eye, but that we can see like from here, that we can see from here, we can see from our stomach. We'll have a lot more clarity and a lot less confusion, I think, than a lot of us have. Because this is a confusing world. I need all the insight I can get. I need to open all my eyes. All that.
Some days I wish some eyes would close, okay?
Sometimes, that part.
I believe ignorance can be bliss, potentially.
Oh, it is. Absolutely. Child, it's a lot of things I wish I ain't know.
Man, I'm telling you. And I think that so much of what you're doing, your work, has culminated in a lot of different ways. I think what's interesting about entrepreneur journeys is that there could be one thing you have in mind, but you have absolutely no idea the path in which it will take you to.
Right.
And I think you mentioned earlier, like this fascinating life you have. You got a pretty fascinating life, Juju. I mean, let's see. In 2018, right, you started the podcast, Little Juju Podcast. You freaking took over the charts, over 1 million listens, right? Like 15,000 listens on an episode. I mean, these are family for folks that don't know about the podcasting space. This puts you in like the top 0.2%, top 0.1% of podcasts, period. I'm just saying truth. Okay. And so, I mean, those are big deals. And You've been fundraising. You just recently hit your goal to be able to bring the pod back. You've been on a hiatus. Tell me why you decided that a podcast was going to be a beautiful way for you to expand your work. I'll leave it there for now.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's a good question. I think that I just wanted to listen to a podcast that was about what I talk about. I was looking for that podcast, and I found a few that were like, I liked. And I was just like, okay, but I need more episodes. Like, I need something consistent. Like, it's every now and again. You know, a lot of woo woo girlies, like, we just do things whenever. Like, it's something. I was like, no, I need a weekly, consistent with this kind of information. I have the information. So I'm guessing, like, well, maybe I can say it. And I bought a mic. Actually, I had a mic that my mama bought me like years ago because I thought I was going to be singing. I had my little snowball mic, and I ain't have no headphones, and I was just in my room in Chicago talking. And then I uploaded it. And then people were liking it. And I was like, oh, okay, let me keep. And I wasn't really looking at numbers, and I'm just getting into that. I just was posting, and people would hit me up like on Facebook at the time, like, oh, this is good. Talk about this. So I did it. And the next thing I knew, I was nominated for iHeartRadio Best Spirituality Podcast. And I was like,
well, drop a mic, please. Thank you. Yes.
So again, my life was one. It just happened. Like, I just be following. Like, I just listen to myself. That's it.
Here's the thing. You be listening. You do. You listen, but then you actually act, right? I think, what have I heard, right? A dream is just a dream, but a dream without a plan is literally just a dream. We can be called to do things, and we can feel like we should be doing something else. But if we don't actually move on it, actually take action, then there's nothing, right?
That's
then
true.
Maybe you feel empty every day. Maybe you feel unfulfilled. Maybe you feel like something is missing. But it does take something. It does take something to actually do it. And you did it. You hit 100 episodes. And let's be clear. I think most recent data said that about 80 or 90% of pods only have 3 episodes.
Yeah, I saw that.
Right? Folks be quitting out here. Okay. What you say, the woo-woo girlies. Okay. It just be like, we be out here. People just want vibes. They're like, oh, I got a feeling. Let me upload. And then he's like, I had 3 episodes of therapy and now I'm done. You know, I got it out. But you actually go out here and do it. So now that you've hit the fundraising goal, it was $30,000. I know I'm gonna keep the GoFundMe link actually in the show notes. So if you want to go support Juju and this upcoming season, go do that. Okay. Cause the bills don't stop. Okay. So what can we expect now that you like, I think I can come back?
Yeah. So, podcasting is, people make it look so easy. It's really it's labor. Like, this is a job. This is a job. And in order to sustain your work, like, I knew that I needed help. And so I needed enough to at least start me off, to get a team of people who can support with some aspects of the show. And so when I'm coming back, I just kind of want to be in the work. Like, I want to share my insights and not have to stress about, oh, I got to upload, oh, I got to edit, oh, I got to do this, oh, I got to do social media, oh, I got, like, that's a lot of work. And it was taken away from my content. Like, it was taken, which I think a lot of content creators feel like, we so worried about the business aspect. We can't even be in the art. We can't even be in the actual thing that brings people to us. And I was just like, no more. So y'all gonna help me. Y'all gonna help me start this off. And this ain't it. This is just the beginning. So yeah, I'm excited to just be and like share also like what I've experienced throughout this break. It's been nice to actually be on hiatus. I missed the show, but I was like, you know what? It's nice not to have to think about this. So
yeah,
I'm coming with a renewed energy. I've been a priest since I've stepped away. I wasn't a priest when I was on the show before. So I have new insights. I have new spirits with me. I have new deities. I have a new energy. I went to Nigeria for a month. Like, I got things to say. So I'm excited just to come back with like a renewed sense of self and help.
Hey, amen to help. Okay. And I can't wait. And so, family, just go follow right now, okay? So that when the teaser, trailer, new season begins to drop, that you are in the know. Don't miss it. I'm just saying.
Mm-hmm.
And then on your fascinating journey, you've landed yourself on Hulu, and
I
I
did.
was like, "What the what?" The show is called "Living for the Dead," and I think I saw the trailer, and I was like, "Wait, that's Juju." On the show, they called you the resident witch.
They did.
Um, and one line, there's a long description of the show, but one line that I was like, "Oh, this is what I can understand." Is where it says helping the living by healing the dead.
Mm-hmm.
So how in the world did you land to be on this show? And what was it like going through all these various experiences?
Yeah. It was a lot. So, Living for the Dead, yes, it's a paranormal investigation show. It's a show where we go to some of the most haunted places, in the US, and we have experiences. We see what's going on there. And in particular, these places may be like there's people that may live there, there's people that work there that are actually feeling the spiritual impacts of what's happening. So, we're kind of like the Ghostbusters Scooby Doo that we go in and we're like, okay, what spiritually is happening that's impeding you from doing your job or impeding you from resting at night or sleeping or feeling comfortable? We get to the bottom of it and then there's like a resolve. So that is the premise of the show. And so someone actually on Twitter tagged me, was like Kristen Stewart, who was the executive producer, put out an ask and was like, Ghost Hunters, I want to know who you are, queer, come. And someone tagged me. It was like, Juju, I want to see you on the show. And I was like, what? Now, why would you? I don't, what? So I look into it and I just auditioned one day and I got an immediate call back, like within 5 minutes of auditioning. And
Wow.
so they flew us to LA and, had a few more rounds of work and then that was it. I got it. So it just kind of happened very serendipitously. Like,
In the world, Twitter and X, whatever it's called today.
yeah, formerly known, whatever. Yeah.
Whatever. So that's how it all came about. Someone tagging
Sweet.
you on Twitter.
Mm-hmm. So I want to see you in it. And it was quite an
Amazing.
experience. It was, wild and fun and interesting being the only Black person and bringing my spiritual ideas into the space. But it was cool. Like, I would love to do it again. Like, it was very interesting interacting with just these spiritual elements and seeing different people work. And there's just so many things out there that actually I learned because I work with ancestors. It's people doing a lot of things in the world, like which I think a lot of people are afraid of. But it was just like so fascinating. It was like a learning experience for me. I learned so much more about the world and like what's out there and what's possible, and how much power and strength we all actually have. So it was a great time. I encourage people to watch it. It's fun. It's queer. It's a queer cast. Like it's a
And
day
that's
old
it.
time.
100%.
Yes.
I was about to say it's like the queer Ghostbusters, right? That's pretty
Yes,
much like who
absolutely.
you all are.
Mm-hmm.
And so go check it out, family. It's on Hulu right now.
Mm-hmm.
I can't remember how many episodes. Is it 8 episodes?
It's 8 episodes, yeah.
Yeah, 8 episodes. Go ahead and binge yourself, okay? And get to know Juju a little bit better while you at it. And now 2024,
Yeah.
I mean, you just hitting moment after moment, okay? And I think it's really beautiful to watch.
Thank you.
But you've got the next level is your book, because I mean, just out here looking to be, New York Times bestseller out here.
Trying, that's the prayer.
Come on, that's the prayer, and it will happen. The Book of
Amen,
Juju.
Yes.
Amen. I say Africana, spirituality for healing, liberation, and self-discovery.
Yep.
You say it's a dedication to the ancestors and the medicine and magic of their traditions, right? Set to drop spring of 2024. Tell us about the book, the journey of the book. Like you've had all these experiences, like all of this going in the book.
It was time to write down what I was feeling, what I knew, and what I've been talking about on the podcast. And I actually had publishers reaching out to me being like, you have great information on your podcast. This needs to be in written form in some way. And I was just like, I mean, I always knew I would write a book, but I just feel like books are very grown and I didn't see myself grown like that. Like books feel like, I'm late 30s, 40s, like about to write my book, my memoir, my 50. And I was like, can I write a book right now? And then I did. Like I wrote what was important to me, which is ancestors first, all the woo-woo stuff, yeah, yeah. But like at the end of the day, like what I want people to really understand and what this book is about the medicine that exists from the people that we descended from. And that they have not left us and that they have not abandoned us and they have more medicine to share. And so this book is about accessing that medicine however it looks for you. It doesn't look the same for everyone. Everyone is not a witch. Everyone is not a spiritualist, but we all come from somebody who came from somebody who came from somebody who knew something. And we have a right to know what those things are, and we can know what those things are. And so it's specifically for people of the African diaspora, specifically for like African American people who are seeking that connection with their ancestors. It's kind of teaching you how you can go about doing that in your unique way.
Okay, I love that.
Mm-hmm.
I love that. I think that's so needed. I feel like I'll say I statements. I growing up in a Black Christian household, religion, Black Christian family, like so many other Black folks in America, Christianity in its very literal form can oftentimes stop you from exploring all these other things because it's so limiting and the boxes of religion, right? But to know history is to know that my people, wherever my people originated, Christianity was not on the docket. And it wasn't on the table, on the ground. It wasn't nowhere to be found. So to really understand, to really realize that Christianity was not the beginning of this thing. There is more to us than just these institutions of religion. And I think oftentimes we don't know how to tap into it. It's in us.
Right.
But we don't always just know how to tap into it.
Yeah. And even when Christianity was on the docket, we can see, especially with Black folks, Black Christianity is just different than other kind of Christianity. It's different. It's specific. It can be very intense. It's very bodily in a way that it's not always in like mainstream spaces. So there's some retention of what we do, even as Black. Well, I'm not a Black Christian anymore, but I still understand and acknowledge and still work with Bible because I do. It's part of me. I have not completely left that because I don't feel like I need to. But I know as I've gotten to know my ancestors and even my own elders and even my grandmother who just passed, like, yeah, she was a strong Christian woman, but she did some things that's not biblical, man. Why a man gotta walk through the house on New Year's and birthday? Why I gotta eat these things? It's all these like tales and things and lore that our people kept with us, and they included it into Christianity or into Islam or into whatever. So it's not even just about, before Christianity was on the docket. It's like even while and still Christianity is on the docket, there are people doing things and believing things that come from something. And we can acknowledge all of that at the same time.
Yes, we can. Because if I wrap another dollar in some black eyed peas, I don't know. Juju, I don't know what it's going to do, okay? My wife says, bigger the dollar, the better. I'm like, but I really need that 10 spot, though. I really would like that 10. I don't know.
Do it. It's
done.
Coming from something.
Coming from something. I put on my coat the other day. I was like, oh, there's that $10. I don't know. Your boy. We all have these traditions and intentionally tap it in. I think there's something powerful about that. Now, Juju, as we close up, because I literally could probably talk to you all day because I got mad questions. I would love also to hear more about your grandmother. Maybe another interview.
Okay.
I saw you posted her services, you singing. We didn't even talk about you singing. Family, just know there's more. And maybe Juju will be back. We'll have more. But in the meantime, tell the good people how they can follow you, stay connected, all the things.
Yes, you can find me at ITSJUJUBAE. It's Juju Bae on pretty much everything. And the podcast, A Little Juju Podcast, will be back in the spring, so check that out as well. But yes, I'm Juju Bae everywhere. And the Book of Juju will be out in June 2024.
Ooh, Pride Month. Let's go.
Period. Wait. Hold up. That's hilarious.
Come on. Bet. We're going to have Juju back in Prime Month. Okay. Promoting the book, period. Juju, thank you for coming on the show.
This is wonderful. This is so sweet. Thank you.
Yeah, thanks for coming on. And family, you already know, we are Queer News Done Right, period. If you enjoyed what you heard, rate and review us inside your favorite podcasting app. This podcast is written and produced by me, Anna DeShawn, and brought to you by E3 Radio, your #1 queer radio station playing queer music and reporting on queer news in high rotation.